The solution is right in front of us. It's very simple. Okay? And then we just wander here and there to find out what is it. Okay? So it was just energizer for you, a change from lot of mental activity that you have done. And now again the next topic requires that mental activity. So we are going to start with the Bloom's taxonomy. Okay? So my question to you is, what exactly is a Bloom's taxonomy? We have studied this in our BA. Okay, what is this Bloom's taxonomy? Can you complete this word? Bloom's taxonomy of? Don't look into all these things because the whole of the way we are teaching,
The various steps involved in the teaching process.
those steps are different. But I want to know the word. Bloom's taxonomy of what? Knowledge. Learning outcome.
Analysis.
Critical thinking. Synthesis. Okay. What we are doing? What is our school? What are these institutes called?
Education.
Yes. So it's the Bloom's taxonomy of educational objectives. You talked of so many objectives, but you didn't club them. Okay. So all the answers were right, but what I wanted was it's a taxonomy of educational objectives. Whole of the education system, whether it's in India or anywhere in the world, is revolving around these educational objectives. Isn't it? Fine. So when you go to a class, okay, you have discussed many problems that these are the challenges of teaching my subject and all. So what is the first thing which is required in the class? The very first thing. The moment you enter into the class. Ma'am said you enter into the class, ma'am told you, na? Okay, open your book, start this. Smile is contagious. Okay, if you are smiling, your children will laugh. But if you are stern, nobody is going to. Okay, everybody loves to be in a company where you have people who are enjoying, happy, because that is the main purpose of life. So why can't we make our educational system such that our children then love to be there? Here right now what we are doing, we are forcing our children to the school, whether it's my child or it's my student. Okay, as a parent or as a teacher, we are forcing this education. So what we can do to make this very interesting for them? Okay, if we know of our educational objectives, okay, and objectives they don't talk of that all the time you ought to be engaged in something very serious. Make your teaching a fun. You all write your lesson plans?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so can you tell me the headings on which you write? What all headings? You start with the topic. Okay, go in a order. First is your topic, then
General objectives.
okay, general objectives, specific objectives,
Learning.
okay, teaching aids, pedagogy, fine,
Methodology.
activities,
Learning outcomes.
okay. Why did you say learning outcomes in the end? Why?
Because at the end of the chapter, we will be
We
able
get
to
to
know
know
that
whether they have
the topic is clear or not.
Right.
But do you write your learning outcomes before you start the chapter or after completion of the chapter? You write the actual learning outcomes that you have achieved. So learning outcomes you write after completion of the chapter?
Ma'am, learning outcome is also the expectation.
Expectation of
Is it that? Okay, fine, thank you for this wonderful input. What is the difference now between your learning objectives and the learning outcomes?
Learning objectives, it would be on the part of the teacher to make a condition where the child, where he will be able to teach successfully so that he can put things into his head. Learning outcome is basically the expectation, so that we shall make the child able to reciprocate or reproduce what we have.
Okay, fine, good. Thank you, sir. So learning objective is from teacher's perspective. Okay? From teacher's point of view, my children will be able to understand the French Revolution, why it started, what are its implications on French people, on the community, or on the world. Isn't it? All those things we take up. Now, objectives are from teacher's point of view, but when we talk of learning outcomes, it's from students' point of view that after the completion of the chapter, okay, my student can demonstrate, okay, whatever topic you have taught, or he'll be able to explain, okay, or and what are these words that I am using? Demonstrate, explain, verify, differentiate. What are these words? What are these words?
These are words of knowledge.
Knowledge, but what are these?
We are preparing them actually.
When I use these words, explain, what type of words are they if I consider it as a part of speech?
No, they are active words.
Active words.
Yeah,
Very
stick
good.
knowledge.
So is it a noun or a verb? That's
Verbs.
These are verbs. Okay. So when this Benjamin Bloom, when he Bloom's gave his taxonomy in 1956 of educational objectives. Okay, whole of the education system revolves around these objectives. Fine. Can you name them? Different objectives? Knowledge,
Understanding, analysis,
but before that something else is there.
remember,
Application, analysis, then
recall.
then
Knowledge only.
Okay, yes, yeah. No,
Then-
recall is the part of knowledge.
application, analysis.
Application.
You all make papers.
Evaluation.
Okay, synthesis and then evaluation. This is what was given by Bloom. Okay, fine. And do you make your papers as per this strategy? Do you make your question papers?
Yes, ma'am.
You know, I asked a question in the beginning when ma'am was.
Ma'am, shall I change the slide so that they will be having a clear idea?
Now, when ma'am was discussing that differentiated learners, at that time I asked, what is the provision that these question papers, Cbse question papers they have, okay, to cater to those different learners in the class. All the children are not very smart, you discussed just now, okay. All the children cannot do very difficult sums, but maybe the easier ones they'll be able to attempt. So what is the provision that is made in the paper? Because India, you are only talking of, you are sitting here in Delhi, the heart of India, I would say, okay. Here, the kind of clientage or the students that you get are much better than what you get in the remote villages, especially in these Jharkhand, Chhattisgarh, okay. So how do that paper caters to this differentiated country that we have? How do that paper, because it's only two papers which are set. One is for the Delhi, okay, and another is for the all India, isn't it? So how do they cater? The answer is on the questions are very simple. Yeah, that is based on the taxonomy. 40 to 50% of the paper is totally based on knowledge and understanding. So what you have to do for that knowledge and understanding? It's only you have to learn the concept, okay? Fine. Even if that is not very clear to you, because when it comes to application, एप्लीकेशन कब करोगे आप किसी भी कॉन्सेप्ट अगर आपको अंडरस्टैंडिंग होगी ओके isn't it? Suppose if you want a child to devise something, like there is so much of air pollution, okay, and the children they know of these carbon footprints, you know, okay, let's forget carbon footprints. You know that most of the pollution is in the form of some gases, nitrogen, okay, and most of the students they also know about the greenhouse gases. Greenhouse, so I think even a teacher from this civics or any subject, he can understand greenhouse gases, okay? At least carbon dioxide is the one which is raising the temperature. Can we do something? You know, only the students, they created this some sort of a ink. They collected this carbon from the atmosphere, which is one of the major pollutant, and they created the ink for those printers by collecting that from the atmosphere. Okay, this is what NCF talks of. This is what our educational objectives should be, that our students should be able to apply the knowledge which they have gained, okay, into the real life situations. We need to, and now when we talk of say English and Hindi, just now we were having a discussion that still the Hindi is not preferred in our own country. Okay, fine. So until or unless you make your student so creative, why can't we make our students creative in languages? They can create their own stories, they can create their own rhymes, isn't it? So this is what you have to do in the class. Till class 8, nobody is going to ask from Cbse that have you completed the syllabus? What is required is the concept clarity should be really good to the students. Okay, so now whenever we design a learning outcomes, how do we have to write a learning outcome? For that also there is a strategy. It's not that you can write, my students will be able to demonstrate the process of photosynthesis. That is not going to be a learning outcome. So, learning outcome must have a verb, which is actually a doing one, which shows that something is being done by the somebody, okay? Which is followed by a Bloom's level, that is creating, okay? And then there has to be an object, okay? So, if I say that, if I say a sentence that students will be able to explain why a matchstick does not catch fire on its own. You just open up your page number 19. Student will be able to explain why a matchstick does not catch fire on its own at room temperature. Okay? So this is a learning outcome. Okay? Now does it have a action verb? Now don't read what's there. Okay? Because you have to create. After that don't read. Does it have an action verb? Students will be able to explain. Does it have an action verb in this? Explain. Okay? And then does it have object? Does it have an object? Yes. So what is the object? Matchstick. Why a matchstick does not catch fire on its own? Okay. Now when we write this learning outcomes, first there has to be a verb and then the object. Fine. Now besides this, there are 3 criteria on which you can assess that the learning outcome that you have written is correct or not. There has to be a performance. Performance means whether the child will be able to perform that activity. Okay, performance means that the learner will know or be able to do a specific measurable. When we are talking of these action words, it means it has to be measurable. Isn't it? You are getting me?
Yes,
It has to be measurable. That is why this Bloom's taxonomy was changed by his own student, Lauren Anderson, to the action words. Okay? Earlier we used to say knowledge, then understanding,
then analysis,
then
evaluation.
there were 2 changes which he made. Knowledge, comprehension, application, analysis, synthesis, evaluation. Okay? He changed these nouns to the verbs. That is, remember, understand, apply, analyze, and then he changed the position of this. From this, creation is on the top and then evaluation is below it. Okay, so he changed this, and still date the dispute is there whether this is to be followed or that. But most of the people are now following the Lauren Anderson's this thing. Okay, still some people are in favor of that very. But can you tell me why the second one should be followed? Whether student will be able to do that? It is not only a rote learning. And why do you think that it's like a pyramid?
Because ma'am, knowledge is vast and creation is miniature.
Yes. So knowledge is something very vast. Even if you have to create anything, you have to use those wide resources of knowledge. Knowledge is the basis of everything. Okay? If you have that knowledge, and then you should have that understanding also. Isn't it? And then you should move on to next step is always the application. As ma'am was saying that students were moved around in a room to find out the difference between the perimeter and the area. Okay, now what they were doing is basically they are also applying that knowledge. When teacher asks them next time, you move around the perimeter, say of this ground. Okay, so now the different situation is there, it's not the same room. The students will be able to apply that knowledge if they have understood the concept clearly. Isn't it? Or then if she wants to know the perimeter of this table, now she'll change the situation. Isn't it? So with one particular activity you can change lot many situations, and now they are applying that knowledge which they have got earlier. Whether they have once they have understood it, that yes, it is not limited to this particular room. It can be anywhere they can. This is the problem, when you tell your students that yes, find an area of this, but when you take the child to the actual classroom or actual building or an actual field and ask them what is the area of this field, okay, then they are clueless. Most of the times it happens. Even when we started our school, we had to submit that thing to this not municipal committee Delhi, it's in Gurgaon NCG, that what is the total volume of that building, type of a thing. We had to calculate for this thing. So that time, I personally realized how important these small things are, which we do in class 6, 7th, 8th. Isn't it? So it is based on the volume they charge that house tax or something like that. Fine. So when it comes to real life situations, even at times we also are not able to apply that knowledge. So if the child is not able to apply, please scaffold him. Because we were never taught like this. There was no scaffolding, isn't it, ma'am? No
it was complete rote
experimentation.
memorization.
It was only rote, and we changed ourselves a lot to adjust to these conditions. That's why ma'am said we are sandwiched. Isn't it?
जब
Maybe-
कोविड आया कितनी टेक्नोलॉजी आ गई थी नहीं आती थी.
Fine. So give them the actual real, then only the child will be able to apply that knowledge. Making them run in the class one time is not going to suffice the purpose. I would say till class 8th we have enough amount of time. Don't bother to complete your syllabus. Give them more activities of the same type only. Okay? We don't have teachers from science, but some very difficult concept I'll just talk of when we talk of a mole concept. Okay? Here we have in class 10th only what they have to find out, basically the molecular mass. That's all they have to find in 9th and 10th. That is only number of moles and number of particles. Okay? But when you go to the other countries, in class 9th only, they are not only finding the molecular mass and all, they are attempting IIT level questions. And why they are able to attempt those IIT level questions? Because they have very little content and they have lot of practice. They have to do a lot of practice. The teacher will just draw the diagram of that mole, mass and the, mass, triangle that one, mass, then molar mass and volume. Volume, okay? These triangle they will draw, and then she'll start with very simple things, that the molar mass only. Okay, say even if we have to talk of the simple addition and subtraction of those normal mathematical figures with some negative and positive attached to it. Okay, when we have to add negative and positive, how many times do we do that practice? We always think of giving the difficult questions. We'll do a simpler one, say 5, 6, and then we'll move on to the higher order. Do you think that all the children will be able to catch up? No. Give more practice of the simpler ones first. Till every student has achieved that, then you move on to the next one. It's very important. I know in class 11, students are not able to divide or multiply the fractions properly. And it's not only in my school where I was teaching, it's in every school.
Very true.
Even in class 11th, they don't know how to multiply, divide, add and subtract the fractions.
Class 10th में लाइट के चैप्टर में 1 upon b minus 1 upon u वाले जो क्वेश्चंस होते हैं, they don't know how to add up fractions. और वो 11th में भी यही प्रॉब्लम आती है.
So because why we are not giving them, the reason is we are not giving them enough practice for the simpler ones. When they are able to do those simple questions easily, what will happen? Okay, what will happen if they will be able to do those simple questions easily? They will develop the self-esteem and self-confidence, which is required. Fine? So give more practice of simple. Move slowly from simple to complex. Don't always jump to complex. Don't always try to assess your students for what they don't know. Assess them for what they know. Okay? Assess them for what they know. It's important. Don't assess them for what they don't know. Okay? This is what is the practice. Do you think we assess them for that only?
No.
Most of the time we assess them for what they know. We lay stress on that. Maybe in lower classes it's very different. But we are restricting ourselves only to the lower classes for this type of leverage that we give to students, but not in the higher classes. Okay? So these three, the knowledge, comprehension and application, they come under lots. That is lower order thinking skills. Fine? And then analysis, synthesis and evaluation. That comes under HOTS. That is higher order thinking skills. So there are more of lots and less of HOTS in a paper. Now, if we have more of lots, it means we are catering to all the students. But when we are assessing the HOTS, okay, the lots are automatically assessed. Do you agree? Yes. Because without knowledge, without understanding or without application, child will not be able to analyze. Even if it's an English, say any drama, and there is some sort of a dispute between two parties, okay, and then you have to analyze, you have to do a problem solving for that. You give a question like that. Student will not be able to analyze it until or unless he is clear about the context in which, reason for which that thing took place. Isn't it in your Shakespeare's Hamlet?
Yeah.
Fine. So you need to be very clear of this knowledge, comprehension, and application. That is why they are broader, and as we go high, they become narrower. You are able to assess the lots automatically. Fine. So now, besides these three things, that is the object as well as what we talked of, verb and the object. There are three other things that we have to do while writing the learning outcomes. First is the performance. Okay, performance should always be smart. If you have got everything, okay, you have got everything you perform. So our objectives should be smart. What is the full form of smart? When we say that our objectives should be smart, they should be specific, measurable, attainable, relevant or realistic or the time bound. Okay? Smart. Why they have to be specific? Specific. What is meant by this word specific?
We can be focused on student behavior rather than that. Like we are specific with the things.
Means whatever question we frame, we are right now talking of our learning outcomes. You know, our objectives will determine the learning outcome, and learning outcome will determine the assessment. Okay, from learning outcomes, basically students will come to know about the assessment. So when we talk of they should be very specific. What does that mean? So it means what exactly the student will be able to do. Okay, because right now we are talking of the learning outcome. Okay, so give me any question that you have in mind that you can write, think of any learning objective or the learning outcome. This is what you do with students every time. Come up with any topic. कि इतना कुछ आप पढ़ाते हो केमिस्ट्री में, हिंदी में, इंग्लिश में. Whether my child has understood the prepositions, okay? Sir, आपका सब्जेक्ट शायद इंग्लिश है ना? हाँ. Okay. So, specific learning outcome क्या हो?
The correct application of correct preposition in a correct condition.
Okay. Is it specific? The correct application of the preposition in a situation. Can you devise an activity just so you can find it out?
Yes, ma'am. I'll make 2 containers of water. Okay. If I have to make the children understand the difference between in and into.
But sir, right now, okay, chalo, ठीक है.
Okay. For example, these are 2 containers of water, and I have to make the child understand the difference between in and into. So for in, I will keep the water inside the bottle, inside the container, and for into I shall show a hand or gesture.
So your other container should be empty.
No, not empty. Yeah, water is being put inside the container.
Initially, water should be there or not?
No.
If I tell you that to make this class interesting, okay? If I tell you ki you write a story where you have used a prepositions, all the groups write one story of 3 lines. Everybody knows the prepositions, isn't it? 3 lines only. Their maximum preposition.
The boy in the red pajamas.
Okay, quick.
Boy in the red pajama.
A boy in the red pajamas. You know, to make it easy, you can use stick drawing, but for pajama, on the sticks, please put on the pajama with red color.
Because you are not an attentive listener. So
Top of the refrigerator, his mother came from inside the room.
Okay. So, what was the purpose of this activity? What was the purpose? So, if the child has a clear understanding of prepositions, then only he will be able to draw the things correctly.
Yes.
Okay? So, your assessment, they are specific. They are specific. It is kept on the refrigerator or under the table, hands inside the jar, isn't it? Specific, measurable. You can measure such. These learning outcomes are measurable. Tell me, because you are trying to measure the prepositions.
yes, they are.
They are measurable if the child has drawn it correctly. You can measure it.
Yes.
Okay, are they attainable?
Yes.
Within time frame, they was able to do it. Okay, in one class teacher can do it.
Yes.
Okay, then they are relevant. Are they relevant to the topic? And it is not only the teacher can assess the preposition, she can assess the nouns also.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, then is it within your time frame?
Yes.
So everything was done within the time frame only, and then will that be interesting for the students to draw something, or rather than writing the fill-ups that you give up for the assessment of these prepositions? Do you agree? This is going to be an interesting activity for the children, or
Definitely,
the
ma'am.
normal fill-ups, isn't it? So art integration भी हो गया, ठीक है? आप सबने आज drawing भी कर ली.
Yes, ma'am.
So our assessment, learning outcomes should be performance based. Okay, performance we have done. Then there has to be condition. Condition is like it includes whether the tools, situations, and we have covered the tools. We had the tools with us as per this activity. Okay. Then we have a situation also. Settings also, everything was there. We didn't require something very big to carry out such activities in the class. Okay. And then there has to be a criteria. When we talk of the criteria, then for that it is basically that whether we'll be able to assess it or not. This activity can be easily assessed, isn't it? So assessment is also being included in this. Fine? Okay, so with this one, I think we have covered maximum what the Bloom's taxonomy is, but still we have to go with certain questions. Okay? So when we talk of remembering, there are certain verbs which are given. Normally, how do we frame our questions for the paper? How do you frame your questions for the paper?
Sometimes what do you know by, what do you mean by,
What,
what do you
where,
understand
when,
by?
how,
Explain,
define. So these are the words that we should use. Okay, rather than all the time restricting ourselves to this, and for every level of Bloom's taxonomy, there are certain words, certain verbs basically, which are associated with that particular level. Okay, and if you type on Google, and maybe it must be there in your this handout also. So when we talk of the remembering, it is the recalling information basically. Okay, on recognizing, listening, describing, retrieving, naming, finding. Okay, this is what we have to do when we are assessing the remembering part of our students. Then coming to the understanding, explaining ideas or concepts. So whenever you explain an idea, do you think the examples are an important part of it?
Yes, ma'am.
Without examples, the things they don't become clear. Isn't it? Examples, they make the things clear. Like, let's take, if you have to tell about the, say, island. Okay, so first you will explain that it is a land surrounded by water. Then the simple examples you can talk of. Sri Lanka is a country. Then you can talk of the parts of India also. Lakshadweep, Andaman, Nicobar. Okay, and when you show them on the map, the things they become more clear to the children, isn't it? So examples are something very important part whenever we have to make some understanding clear to the students. Whether it's in science now, I won't take up any science example. Fine. So applying is using information in another familiar situation, implementing it, and carrying out using the executing. Like you all are doing hands-on? Hands-on? Okay, in English, how can we do hands-on? Cbse has started with some beautiful this thing. What is hands-on in English? Suppose sir is taking up some story. Can they do the graphic representation?
Yes.
Won't it be a hands-on?
Yes.
And students will be able to remember whole of the chapter if they go for a graphic
For a long
representation.
period of time.
Isn't it?
Yes.
And you still remember जब हम बच्चे थे वो क्या अमर चित्र कथा was our favorite. मजा आता था पढ़ने में. So why can't we create our own such type of books from our lessons that we are doing in the class? Isn't it?
Comic strips.
Comic strips can be there. Yes. Those were basically the comic strips.
Specifically business studies, economics वाले teachers के लिए बहुत फायदेमंद है. Commerce students के लिए. Because for you it's very difficult to explain that debit, credit and all those stories. So better comic strips will be very easy and good art integration.
And for most of the subjects you can go for such strips and for all the lessons. Okay? Then analyzing is breaking information into parts. Has any one of you attended that experiential learning workshop on Diksha platform? And the competency based one? So have you done that? If not, I would say it's just like
We have
done last year. Diksha.
I don't remember exactly
Diksha
what
पे
we
we
have
have
done.
क्या करा था?
Actually, I have done some question answer.
Online it was.
No, it was only question answers, but do you know what this basically that what we are learning on the Diksha platform is, what that technique is basically? In programmed instruction, what we do, we change the information into bits and pieces. In that if you remember a bit of it, every information was broken up into small frames. Okay, first it was explained and then it was assessed immediately. There was question after that. First there was an information, PPT through PPT, then there was a video, and after that there were questions. Okay, so you can also frame this type of a learning. This is known as the programmed learning, where you can break up the information into small pieces. Give it to your students, then you can ask up the questions, and those answers, if they answer it rightly, it means they have grabbed the concept. That is what is the programmed learning. Okay, so in that you are doing the analysis also, and then coming to evaluating, and then the creating. Fine. Evaluation is what? Is it the test that we are doing? Evaluate. Can you frame any question on evaluation? History. History ma'am is not here.
No.
Okay.
Evaluate
Evaluation
the circumstances
of.
under which the first World War took place.
Okay. Very good. Fine. So evaluate and then creating. So for creating, anybody, the question on creating? Creating
We can design
what?
software.
Okay, if you asked a child to make a mind map, won't it be a creating? Mind map of that chapter or concept map of that chapter, won't it be? He will be able to create that mind map if all these different levels of the Bloom's taxonomy are clear to the child. Okay, so now they have given one question which I was discussing earlier. Student will be able to explain why a matchstick does not catch fire on its own at room temperature. Action verb is there, objective is there. Now look at the performance. Does this explain the performance? Does it explain the performance that what student will be able to do?
First we have to
Student
demonstrate.
will be able to explain why a matchstick does not catch a fire.
First we need to
It is a performance he is able to explain. It means the performance it's there.
But
Performance is there.
before to set up the condition, we'll have to give out the demonstration.
I am just asking, I am not asking of condition. Sir, I am asking the first thing, performance.
Okay.
So performance will be there. Now condition, is it satisfying? This statement is satisfying the condition. Is this statement satisfying the condition? Condition is not there because for condition then it has to be why it is not able to catch fire on its own at room temperature. Okay. Now does it satisfies the criteria? Does it satisfies the criteria? No, because there is no way we are assessing it over here. Okay, fine. So it does not even satisfy the criteria. Now you are provided with these are, when we talk of this education, ma'am talked about learning and education. Okay, now you have to tell me a difference between a literacy and the education. So what education is? Can anybody, and yes sir, thank you, you are absolutely correct. I want education and literacy, difference. लिटरेसी सर ने बिल्कुल ठीक आंसर बताया भाई between education and literacy. When we talk of education, it must caters to all the three domains. We talk of 3H, education for head, heart and hand, isn't it?
Yeah.
That is your affective and psychomotor. So now first what we have discussed is basically the cognitive domain. Okay, when we talk of literacy, the only thing which we are addressing is the cognitive domain. But do you think ours are an educational institute, isn't it? Are we touching the affective and the psychomotor domain भी? क्या हम टच कर रहे हैं बच्चों के स्कूल में?
Yes.
To the same level as we are laying the stress on the affective. सर आप लाइफ स्किल्स कराते हैं? तो सर तो जरूर कर रहे होंगे. उसके बिना तो फिर लाइफ स्किल क्या? Isn't it? So are you working on their affective and psychomotor also? not to that extent, but they all play very equal part in the development of a child. Don't you think?
Yes.
If the social skills are not there, do you think you have a better social skills or the present generation? Who has a better social skills? Present. How? What type of a social skills they have? They are all connected to their teachers.
Yes.
Technical skills.
Technical.
Would you call that a social skill?
Right.
Yes, ma'am.
In every no.
No, ma'am.
Will it be? Social skill is beyond that. It is not only
Social skills doesn't mean social networking.
network, right.
Please, these are two different things.
okay.
Person.
Like how effectively you can handle the situation, how beautifully you can communicate with others, how beautifully correctly you can understand that situation, and how whether you react to a situation or you respond.
And we are not very.
Okay, what the today's children are doing? Are they reacting or they responding? They are reacting. So who is better? We people are better. We normally respond. We don't react to the situation. So we need to develop those social skills also. But sir is taking life skills as an independent subject. But now my question to you is, can't you all take up a part of a life skill in teaching your English, Hindi, Math, Science?
Yes, ma'am. We do.
You are taking?
Yes.
So it means you are supplementing what sir is doing? Or sir is supplementing what you are doing? Or it's a complement type of a situation?
It's a
It is complementary type of a situation. Okay? So what is required when we were in school, all these things were not required. We never studied life science or we never studied moral science. But our children are studying all these subjects. Isn't it? Why? क्योंकि उनका social networking ज़्यादा हो गया है and the actual interaction with the people and friends is not there. Okay?
That's
So
why
how-
we have
how we
incorporated
can-
value-based questions also.
But are they going to be enough to
No,
develop that
ma'am.
skill?
No.
तो क्या करें हम उसमें ये skill develop करने के लिए? Sir, life skill, team work हो गया, लेकिन specific. Suppose sir ने English में कराना है, आपने मैम आपका science subject है ना? So how you can develop these social skills? I am not asking anything about the psychomotor because psychomotor हम बहुत ज़्यादा कर भी रहे हैं. ठीक है? We are especially in science we are doing lot of experiments. Hands-on is going on, but still we need to do more. I am asking कैसे? Think and write. Discuss in group, okay, and write what I can do to develop the social skills in my children as per my subject. Fine?
Indulge in outdoor activities together, like at the playground or etc. Third is group activities, projects through research work, so that students are experimenting together and they are finding a conclusion.
So basically what you have talked of is interaction. Second was the field trips. Third was the projects.
Yes.
Okay.
And field excursions assisted by the teachers.
Of course, everything, whether it's a project work or if it's an interaction between the students, the facilitation work or the scaffolding task is to be done by the teacher in all the three. Okay? That's it. Yes, ma'am. Next group.
हम NGOs वगैरह में विजिट दे सकते हैं बच्चे को,
Very
जिससे
good.
और ये जो स्पेशल चाइल्ड्स होते हैं उनको वहाँ पे हम ट्रीट कर सकते हैं, उनको मतलब बच्चे कुछ और सिखाएं हैं उन्हीं की लैंग्वेज में जिससे वो सीख पाएं, जैसे मीन्स टू ड्रॉ समवन एंड प्रेजेंट, जैसे एक तारे जमीन पे मूवी है जिसमें बच्चों ने सबने अपनी आर्ट को पेंटिंग के थ्रू प्रेजेंट किया, जो बोल नहीं सकते और बोल नहीं कर सकते, तो उस तरह की एक्टिविटी हम अपने स्कूल के बच्चों को वहाँ ले जाके करवाएं जिससे वो उनको भी समझे.
अच्छा, here I पहले you speak up.
एंड देन ऑल्सो द जैसे क्रिसमस है, दिवाली है, उन पे हम जैसे बच्चों को मोटिवेट करते हैं कि अपने कुछ पुराने ओल्ड क्लोथ्स टॉयज हम उसमें डोनेट करें और डोनेट खुद उनको पैक करें, रैप करें और उनके लिए एक अच्छा मैसेज उनको वो दे लिखकर, ताकि बच्चों के पास भी ऐसे गिफ्ट को मेमोरी रहे और बच्चे भी समझे कि मतलब वेस्ट नहीं करना हमें उस चीज़ों को, हम किसी और को खुशी भी दे सकते हैं उससे.
Okay. That's it? That's it? Okay. Ma'am, talk
we
about
can-
one thing. That was beautiful, that going to those NGOs, maybe the old age home, which I could make out, okay? Or sharing your things with the needy ones. But one thing where I feel that maybe I have not perceived it correctly, that when ma'am talked about that taking the children to those special category children. But you know, as per the not only new education, national education policy, inclusive education. Even before that, there was an inclusive education. Okay, there was a stress. And do you think now this special children, they should have the separate schools or the same schools? They should work
No, ma'am, it depends on their speciality.
depends upon their inability.
Ma'am is saying it is right
Okay,
because
so
we are having.
So what type of students you can?
See, ma'am, I want to give an example to you. Ma'am is saying this thing because we are doing this thing. As we are having Ashtavakra School Institute or school, these are for the special children on the basis of their speciality. We cannot say disabled, and we are calling them Divyangjan. So they are not disabled; they are differently abled. So that's why we are.
No, my question is not this, ma'am. My question is this: do we need to keep them at teach them at a separate school, or
No,
they
ma'am,
should
but
be in the
it
same
depends
school?
on their speciality. No?
Look, 99% of such children should be taught in the same school.
Same school, yes, ma'am.
Okay, only with something very serious which you cannot take
It
up
depends on
in
the
a
level
school.
of their.
Maybe if the hyperactivity, if the ADHD is so
No,
high,
problem
then the
is-
child is going to maybe a threat to somebody else. Okay, only under such circumstances they can be put separately.
Where the actions
Now,
cannot
what is the reason that they should be put in the mainstream like the other normal children? Why they should be taught with the normal children? That is also what a differentiated classroom.
To achieve the same objective of not allowing the child to go into
It means like
alienation, feeling of alienation.
there are two advantages. It is one is that the disabled children will consider themselves to be a part of the community. Okay, because for as far as education is concerned, we can have different educational institutes. But when they come to the professional life, can we have separate officers for them? No, isn't it? So right from the beginning, if we make them a part of a regular society, it becomes easy, isn't it? So I think what ma'am, only at that particular point, I just wanted to clarify. That's why I took it. Yes, beautiful ma'am. Next.
Now, role play must be there.
Okay.
We can give tasks to the students related to the real life situation. Then cultural values, special assemblies, and like we are having Thankful Thursday in our school. So one activity has been done by us. We have just giving thanks to the 4th grade people, and the students gave them chocolates in class.
So dignity of labor is here.
Yes.
You are trying to.
So this is a real life situation that we are creating among most
So,
that we are creating.
Thank you for these wonderful inputs from all the groups. And if I summarize it in one word, isn't it a collaborative learning and teaching going on? If we talk of a project based, if we talk of an interaction, if we talk of going to some NGOs, if we talk of role play, all the things are the collaborative activities. Okay. Now, as a parent, what we can do?
Ma'am, to minimize the communication gap between the student and ma'am, as such many.
Let's not restrict ourselves to schools.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Let's go back to our homes. Think of our own children. Okay. What we have to do with them. I remember there was a shop in our nearby house, and it had all the toys beautifully decorated on that shelf with a glass and everything. Okay, and it was my routine every day. I used to go there, stand there, look at all those toys, and then never even once asked my parents, "I want some toy." But what was it? And even it never came to my mind कि I want to purchase that. Just by looking at them was more than enough. When somebody is talking or somebody is telling them something, they need to understand that in the right perspective also. Okay? They don't understand the things in the right perspective. Why? Because they are not getting enough opportunity to talk with the friends. Fine? So whether they are receiving it in the right way, so receiving first thing is the lowermost level is the receiving. Once they receive, then only you can respond. Okay? If you receive it correctly, then comes the response. Fine? What is their response? How? If somebody is saying something against you, does that flares the emotions in you? And are you able to control those emotions and respond rather than reacting? We don't want reaction. What we want is, nowadays what is happening, what is the reason of this road rage? That is because they react and they are more materialistic. कार में कुछ नहीं होना चाहिए, सामने वाले इंसान की जान चाहिए. Fine? Okay? So, do we respond to a situation or do we react to a situation? Fine? Then comes the valuing. Okay? Do you value the thought process of the other person? Fine? So, do you value that particular thing? How do you receive it? How do you perceive it? And do you value? And then only you will be able to organize, discuss, and theorize the things when it comes to education, especially. Okay? And normally, we do create such things in our real life also. Ki is particular situation mein, because man learns through experience. How do we learn basically? Through our experiences. And that experience always tells us, ki, okay, I am at a cliff of a mountain. So if I just move ahead, I'll fall off and I'll die. This is what is one experience. Okay. So same way, we learn a lot many things that if I react in this particular manner, the child learns. अब मैं रोऊंगा तो मेरी मम्मी मेरे को चीजें नहीं देगी. अब घर में this time the क्या है कि इस समय घर में या madam, if let's talk of a school only, if the madam is given some essential task by the principal, so right now if I go and ask something to ma'am, or if we want a period to be changed to a games period, maybe I did. The children, they exploit these things, isn't it? So let's not be so a person who can be easily manipulated, and they will be able to manipulate only when they are able to read us. They know कि madam तो इस situation में ऐसे react करती है. Okay, so this is, I think, one way of formalizing a theory, that, or we say, understanding the things and then acting accordingly. होता है ना ऐसा, ठीक है? So then only we'll be able to characterize, revise, rate, avoid, resist, and manage and resolve the situations. So first is to define the question, what the problem is. Okay, then
analyze the problem.
वो जब हमने डिफाइन कर लिया प्रॉब्लम को, हो गया. उसके बाद अब क्या है? Once we know this problem is, आगे क्या करेंगे?
Steps to resolve.
Okay, so we look for the alternatives to resolve it. Okay, अब alternatives बनाने के लिए then we'll select the best alternative, then we implement it, and
follow up action will see.
if it works, next time we are going to follow the same situation.
Yes, we are going
So
to
that
change
is
your
what is there in our social behavior also.
Yes.
We know that this teacher तो बस इससे बात करी तो आज डांट पड़ी. Okay? या इस टीचर की क्लास में we can cheat easily. Okay? और इस टीचर के साथ हम liberty ले सकते हैं बात करने. Isn't it? Or this teacher is my go-to person. Or this is my friend, or I can talk about this. That is how we socialize, and that is how we make our mindset about perception about the different person's attitude and behavior. Okay, fine. So next comes the after that is what is the characterization basically. What we do. Okay. Then the psychomotor domain I have all that is perceiving, choose, identify, relate, and select. Okay. First thing is the choose. What you have to do to the psychomotor. Suppose you want to teach them how to jump on a trampoline. Okay. So you will ask them to initially start with the lower one, and normally क्या होता है छोटे बच्चों को आजकल तो घर में ही आप लोग ला देते हैं. You will not ask him to jump right straight away to a very high this thing. Okay, slowly and slowly he'll move up. Fine. So first is perceiving, then setting. For any experiment you need to set up all the things. Okay. Then guide responding, mechanizing, adapting, and originating. So these are the different levels of a psychomotor domain. Now there is a questionnaire with you that talks of, if you look at the Cbse curriculum, they have mapped all the chapters of NCERT books in a manual known as Life Skills and the Value Education. And for every chapter, they have given activity. Suppose you are doing the arithmetic progression in a maths. Okay, so they have given the life skill activity which you can do while teaching that particular concept, and also the value education activity. And it's not only the one activity, they have cards on which they have given at least 7 to 8 activities for every chapter. And up to class 12, they have mapped it. Fine. So you can always use that to integrate that in your lesson plan. Okay. And you know, from last 2 years, experiential learning and this art integration, they have become an important part of our lesson.
Yeah.
You have to write some activity, okay, in not all the lesson plans, but in few lesson plans. Because if we start doing it through experiential learning or art integration, all the chapters will not be able to wind up the syllabus. Although the Cbse is under the process of reducing the syllabus. That work is already going on. And this year you saw the syllabus has been reduced in most of the subjects, except for that history map. Rather than reducing, it has increased. So our concern was genuinely right. Now, plan a strategy to deal with the situation created in the neighborhood by a cyclone. Cognitive and which domain? Creative. So you are planning a situation how you can deal with it. Okay. Compare aerobic and anaerobic respiration.
Cognitive.
Which
Analysis.
Explain the role of hormones in the cognitive. Calculate the value of one division on a given thermometer. Psychomotor. Okay. But which one? Calculate. It is psychomotor. Cognitive. It's cognitive and
one division on a given. It is on the given thermometer.
apply कर रहे हो ना. Then prepare an acid-base indicator from the extract of sunflower.
Psychomotor. It's psychomotor.
It has to be seen. You are preparing something. Acid-base indicator. Relate wind speed with air pressure, and after seeing relate wind speed with air pressure after seeing a demonstration. Relate wind speed with air pressure. It has to be analyzing. Somebody from that
Yes, ma'am,
table said
analyzing.
analyzing. Okay. Stop using single-use plastics after learning of their
Effective.
Select the best domestic fuel out of a given list.
Evaluating.
Cognitive and domain, which particular?
Evaluating.
Evaluate. Okay. So I think with this, we are through with this particular now. You have to frame a learning outcome. Okay? You can do it as a group activity of any subject or topic of your choice.
हिंदी करेंगे सर.
Remembering what will be the learning outcome,
हिंदी करेंगे.
understanding, applying, analyzing, evaluating and creating. For all the levels.
हिंदी करेंगे.
Okay?
The children will be able to analyze the different characteristics of theirs.
So that will be evaluating.
Evaluate.
Okay. Next, creating.
Children will be able to create the mind map of the
Mind map of the poem. Why can't they create their own poem on that? 7 ages?
yeah.
They can do that, isn't it?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you, sir. That's enough. Ma'am, please.
Class is 8. The topic is metals and non-metals. And should I tell you the cognitive domains also?
No, right now only psychomotor.
Psychomotor is to perform, to verify through activities. What happens when metals react with water, and what happens when metals are going to react with the oxygen when you are going to keep the metals in open. Why it is not suggested that to store the metals not to store the acids in a metal box. They should be stored in a plastic or the glass bottles, not in the metal vessels.
My topic is scratch and it is for class 6.
Which
Scratch. Computer.
And the children will able to design a game by using the blocks, different blocks.
Okay. So this is which domain?
This one is, first one is remembering. They have to
No,
list.
you said design.
No, first one is they will list all the blocks. I have to.
Okay, first is the listing of all the blocks. Made a beautiful questions.
Okay, then explain during after understanding
The
all the
students can or will be
able to explain all the loops concept. They are designing a game, they should be able to design. If the bar, suppose they are designing a pinball game, then if then else loop will be there and forever loop will also be there. Then they will able to explain the types of loops, how can they use those loops, and by using those loops they can turn that bar here and there so that the pinball.
This is which domain?
This one is your psychomotor only.
Most of this when you are designing of some game is going on. So psychomotor you are already addressing and cognitive has to be there.
Okay. Third one is apply. They have already listed all the blocks. Now they are in a position to use them. Use the blocks so that they will make the game. First one is use the blocks. Suppose they want to move the sprite, they should use that motion block so that they can change the sprite from here to there.
Thank you. Well done.
Well done, very
Only
good.
effective domain I didn't get from anyone. Thank you for this beautiful learning outcomes that you have framed. Okay, so keep on framing it in your lesson plan also, but please follow the taxonomy, whatever the sequence in which you have to frame it. Okay, object has to be there, verb has to be there. Okay, thank you.
To see, and whatever they are doing you have to do, right? And I'll just check that you are doing it correctly, and that actually tells me that how good observational skills you have, right? Because what we want in our children is good observation power. We want them to observe and then do. So it's now your time to come and see what is being happening there, and you have to do the same thing, right? So all of you, nobody will be there, please come. So just think that for the whole lot of time, the students are sitting, listening. मेरी क्लास मैंने पढ़ाया, सर की क्लास सर आके पढ़ा गए, आप बैठते रहो, सुनते जाओ. This is what is happening. So what will happen? आप नहीं बैठ सकते ना इतनी देर, उनका क्या हाल होता होगा. So this was just to break the monotony, and I think you are feeling energetic. तो बच्चों से भी कभी-कभी हाथ पैर ऊपर क्लास में ही करवा लीजिए, जिससे कि what will happen? At least they'll gain energy, they'll be happy, because such activities, you have smart classrooms, right? So you have all these projectors and everything is there. कुछ भी इसमें बुरा नहीं है. थोड़ा सा बच्चे जब वो एक्टिविटी को करें लोअर क्लासेस में तो ईस्ट वेस्ट राइट लेफ्ट एटलीस्ट ऑल दोस थिंग्स कैन आल्सो बी टॉट दिस वे, राइट? सो दिस इज वन थिंग. सो मूविंग ऑन टू द नेक्स्ट, 21st century learners. So you must have heard of this term on and off, right? 21st century learners. So I am talking about something what we call competency based learning system. So what is the basic meaning of competency? What is the meaning of competencies? Competency का क्या मतलब होता है ना आजकल 40% competency based curriculum. IIT 10th with paper would be 40% competency. So what are competencies? What do you mean by competence?
Any skills or knowledge that help the children to perform any piece of action at a given time successfully.
But then, what exactly? What kind of action? Any example? Very simple language. Anything you are teaching and you are relating it to the real life scenario. That creates a competence. So कुछ भी आप सिखाते हैं और उसको real life के साथ connect कर रहे हैं. That is going to create competency. And what we want, you must have heard of our international level exam which is called as PISA, PISA, Program for International Assessment. And in that exam, when last time our country, they appeared, the students of our country appeared, we were just ahead of Kazakhstan at 74th position, where we are getting hundreds and 90s and so many marks. But look at where we are standing, because it's complete rote memorization. जैसे मैं आपने बोला, कुछ भी assimilate नहीं किया. Learning, vomiting, learning, vomiting. Right? So we need to develop competencies. 21st century skills in our students. That is something very, very important. Now, what are those 21st century skills? Critical thinking. क्या है critical thinking? क्या होती है critical thinking? What is critical thinking?
Imagination.
Or just imagination? हाँ जी.
It's the ability to analyze and evaluate a situation and then form a logical and just judgment of what's the best possible way of
Think
handling it.
out of the box, something.
Not out of the box. Whatever decision you are taking up is because of the critical thinking skills you are having. If I was told I have to come to this Tecnia International School, Rohini from South Delhi, I had to analyze how I am coming here. What would be the mode of transport? So I have taken a decision, okay, I'll take up a cab. I could come by metro also. So I looked at all the situations and then came to some conclusion that this is how I'm going to reach this particular school. Right? So that was what? That was just critical thinking. So in every aspect of life, we are taking up, analyzing the situation, taking up the decision, as she was like taking up the decision कि अब यहाँ से जाने के लिए medical problem. So how you're thinking and then reacting on those situations, and sometimes when you are in certain situations, how you are solving the problems, as sir said, because we want our students to be problem solvers, which they are not, right? So that's one thing. Then communication. The 3 C's are very important. Critical thinking, communication, creativity, even collaboration is very important. So communication, how important is communication? Morning I told you, communicating doesn't mean only speaking, but also listening. So you remember today, that was a test, right? So listening also is a part of communication, and one has to be a good communicator, because if you're not able to communicate, whether you're doing a job or whether you're doing your own entrepreneurship or whatever, you need to communicate with people. You need to tell people, get ideas from people. So if you're not able to communicate, what will happen? Will you be successful in life? No. So communication again becomes very important. Then comes Collaboration. How important is collaboration? How important is teamwork? Everyone cannot do one thing, right? We need people to do different jobs. So we need to collaborate. Like I was telling, and ma'am also was telling, in class, like till class 8th, when you are teaching, why not set lesson plans on one theme? Like the English teacher is talking about a poem on water, the Hindi teacher is talking about Megh or Varsha, the SST teacher is talking about the water cycle, and the science teacher is teaching something about water. So what will happen? You are not teaching in silos, no? When you collaborate, what is going to happen? The child will, even the maths teacher can design problems based on water. So what will happen? At everything about water will be learned. What ma'am was telling, that we have to give them ample practice on one particular topic. So if one particular topic you are emphasizing, rather than doing everything in silos and everything, taking a few things, collaborating, and then giving that, what will be the output? Better or not? That's what we said.
उससे बच्चे ज़्यादा सीख पाएंगे।
ज़्यादा अच्छा।
एक ही चीज़ को अगर हर पीरियड में अगर वो पढ़ेंगे
हिंदी इंग्लिश मैथ्स में हर जगह वो कहीं पर उसको उस पर्टिकुलर थीम को लेकर हर चीज समझ में आ जाए, उसका हर एस्पेक्ट समझ में आ जाएगा। और बच्चे का अगर क्लास 8 तक बेस अच्छा हो गया ना, 9, 10, 11, 12 में आपको पढ़ाने की जरूरत ही नहीं है। तो मैम आई वुड रिक्वेस्ट यू कि व्हेन दे मेक देयर लेसन प्लान्स, rather than sitting alone and doing, why not collaborate? Why not sit together and see what is common? How can I bring some common topics together in the same week or in the fortnight? So that is there. This is about collaboration, and collaboration among students again is important, and that's why we tell group activities, projects, peer tutoring, because they learn in groups. We talked about flipped classrooms in the morning. So everywhere what will happen, they will come together, they will talk to each other, they will discuss, and then they will come out with something. So all of these things are actually interrelated with each other. I hope this is clear to everyone. Yes. So what exactly is competency-based education? Now look at this particular picture. What can we see in this picture?
They are taking different paths to achieve the same goal.
Yes, right? Because they are all unique learners. Their goal is same, but somebody is going straight, somebody is going this way, right? So this is the main thing: flexible path and pace. But they are differentiated learning. They are talking right from morning, so their path is different, their pace is different. Some are slow, some are fast. But we have to design that how to take even the slow learner to that particular place. What needs to be done with those particular learners, right? So competency, when I talk about, it is about 3 things: knowledge, skills, and attitude, right? Knowledge, skills, attitude. Now, what exactly बहुत simple बताऊंगी। आप में से कितनों को साइकिल चलानी है? अब मैं अगर किसी बच्चे को ये बोलूं कि साइकिल चलाने के लिए आपने साइकिल पर बैठना है, पेडल मारना है, बैलेंस करना है, तो वो किस पार्ट में आएगा? नॉलेज में, स्किल में, या एटीट्यूड? नॉलेज। और हम क्या कर रहे हैं? हम जो पढ़ा रहे हैं वो क्या दे रहे हैं? नॉलेज। वी आर गिविंग स्किल और नॉट? No. हम तो सब पढ़ा रहे हैं, ऐसा होता है, ये होता है, ऐसा हुआ था. This is what we are giving: knowledge, knowledge, knowledge. But with knowledge, if I give them skill. Now, if you know that if you sit, you balance, you pedal, you will learn. But it would take you time to learn that. And once you acquire that skill, what will happen? Will you be confident? That would change your attitude. And you have gained that competence. I think now competency is clear to you. जब आपने उस काम को कर लिया, तो जो भी पढ़ाएं उसका एक्सपीरियंस है। मैम विल बी टॉकिंग अबाउट एक्सपीरियंशियल लर्निंग, वो बहुत जरूरी है। हम सिर्फ क्या कर रहे हैं? वी आर नॉट नॉलेज इम्पार्टर्स की नॉलेज दे रहे हैं, लिए जाओ, उसको एक्सपीरियंस करें। वंस दे आर एक्सपीरियंसिंग, देयर वुड बी acquisition of skills and attitude would definitely change. तो ये तो खैर साइंस वालों के लिए था कि कई बार आप क्या करते हैं कि बहुत कोई डिफिकल्ट कॉन्सेप्ट होता है उसको हम इजी वे में करते हैं. दिस वाज फॉर द साइंस, बट जनरल में भी आई जस्ट वांट टू टेल यू पीपल दैट अगर आप किसी चीज से कंपेयर करके कोई एग्जांपल देकर किसी चीज को सिंप्लीफाई करके बताएंगे, दैट बिकम्स मोर इजियर फॉर द चाइल्ड टू ग्रास्प रादर देन गिविंग डिफिकल्ट टर्म्स. अब मैंने ही आपको बोला जब नॉलेज, स्किल्स और एटीट्यूड, how many of you were very clear about that? नहीं था ना. जैसे ही मैंने वो एग्जांपल दिया, that thing became clear, right? So in your teaching, you're all experts in your subjects. Try to give examples which make them understand what you want to teach and what are your learning objectives or learning outcomes. उस चीज को simplify करके दे दीजिए. जब आप सिंप्लीफाई करके देंगे वही मुश्किल चीज आसान हो जाती है. Got it? So this is how we talk about different things. So if you open up now page 31, it's about 21st century competencies, and again we have 7-8 points, right? So since we have 3 groups, what we can do is that creativity and innovation, critical thinking and problem solving. ये दोनों points आपका group ले लेगा, ठीक है? इन दोनों points को मैं 5 मिनट दे रही हूँ, आप read करिए, आपको क्या समझ में आता है आपस में discuss करिए, फिर हम इसकी बात करते हैं. आप लोग capacity for lifelong learning, collaboration or communication. 3. Collaboration, communication, they are very interrelated. Already मैं बात कर चुकी हूँ. Citizenship and character and computational thinking, this group. Right? So just read. Giving you 2 slips. If you have 2 points and 3 slips, if you have been given 3 points, आपको मिलेंगे. Right? So out of each point, एक key point. मतलब उसमें एक कोई वर्ड वो आपने इसके ऊपर लिखना है, ठीक है? और इसके ऊपर लिखकर जहाँ पे आपका ग्रुप है वहाँ पर आकर आप इसको देख सकते हैं.
First is creative education. We have written removing restrictions during the class tasks. That means if we are giving any task to the students, we should not restrict them to what to do and what not to do. Let them do whatever they want to do. Next is critical thinking. We have written on the spot thinking. That means let the student explore whatever they do, get from the topic. Let them think whatever they are getting the first impression by reading the topic. So later on we can discuss that whether they are thinking in the right direction or not. If they are not thinking in the right direction, we can take them to the right direction. So on the spot thinking.
I'll be asking what she is telling. So दूसरों को सुनना भी है.
Other group, second group, please pay attention.
And the last is problem solving. We have written student centric as we should give the students chance to explore the problem, find the alternatives and select the best alternatives so as to what they think is the best alternative to solve that problem. So student centric.
Right. Thank you so much. So they are talking about problem solving, student centric and giving different tasks to different students because each one of them have unique characteristics. They may like one thing, they may not like. If I tell the whole class to make a podcast, maybe somebody is not willing to get it published. If I tell everybody to make painting, maybe they don't like it. So give them opportunities. That's the essence. So don't hinder their creativity. That's something very very important. हम क्या कहते हैं कि अगर कोई आर्ट टीचर भी होगी ना वो बोलेगी फूल ऐसे ही बनाना है जैसे मैंने बोला है, बस इससे इधर से इधर नहीं होना चाहिए. जैसे वो 3 इडियट्स का एग्जांपल था कि ये वास रख दिया बस वैसे ही बनाना, बाहर मत देखो. So let their creativity also come into it. Right? Very nice. The next group.
And the one word is encourage.
Very nice. Because we need to encourage our students again and again that you have to do this thing, and maybe sometimes they have not able to get that particular thing, then you have to encourage, because encouragement is really very important. Yes, you can do it.
And in fourth one is collaboration. With the one keyword is interaction with new ideas and new creativities. And it means both are the similar. Fourth and fifth one is the fifth one is communication, and fourth one is the interaction.
So communication, collaboration, they are all very similar terms, and we really need to interact with each other. Unless and until we interact, we are not able to communicate or collaborate. Right now?
And the fifth, communication, the complex ideas in effective or different manners from each student.
So again, differentiated learning.
So patriotism and collaboration. It means we have to respect our own country as well as the country of others. So we should inculcate the feeling of patriotism in our students. As unity in diversity is the special logo of our nation. We have a diverse culture and values. So we should inculcate many values in our children. So patriotism is very important.
Right, respect for your own country.
Instead of consumer, we can make them the providers. Suppose they can build the tool and they can use it. And according to their requirement, according to their need, they can design their games by themselves. And by doing this, they will enjoy more instead of playing games which is built by other person.
So that is belong back to your computers.
Yes, it
But
is
what
not
about
about
other subjects? Computational thinking is not only for this.
Technology doesn't mean computational thinking. We have to understand this.
Actually, suppose we are in science. Suppose I am using a model which is designed by some other scientist. I can make that model myself and by the students, and they can use that. Suppose in my kid is also studying in 10th standard. They have studied that filtration process and all these things. By designing a model now,
So what you are
she is able to
okay, can I just intervene in between?
Okay.
So it means first you are just collecting the things.
Yes.
Decomposition, then reconstruction,
Yes.
and then ultimately something there. So
Something
that is
something.
what is computational thinking. When you break the things first into different things, like for making that filtration unit, you need certain things.
Then
Isn't it?
assemble.
Then you assemble them, fine, and then the whole product is formed. So this is in layman's language.
Yes.
Thank you.
So we have to understand that just knowing technology is not computational thinking. Computational thinking is where you are actually doing some task in different steps and making it work fruitful by dividing the job and then getting the product. Or maybe, as she was saying, that filter. Now in some other scenario, filter can be used. Right? So this is how computational thinking. So we have to create a mindset where children have alternative approach of whatever is being taught. इस चीज को हम कहीं और यूज कर सकते हैं या नहीं कर सकते, वो चीज आने बच्चों के अंदर
When you experience something, okay, you feel, okay, then you relate to certain things. Maybe at times you relate to what is happening in your life. Okay, so experience is anything that you feel. And experiential learning is what? Is it always doing the hands-on? Is it doing the hands-on? Hands-on is an experiential learning. Yes. Or is it the only experiential learning?
It's a part of
One part experiential learning. Okay. This experiential learning, although it's given by this cycle of experiential learning, was given by Kolbs, and it is not only the work of Kolbs. He combined up the work of all the people who have worked in the field of this education, and then he came up with a theory of experiential learning. Okay. First thing is, when you just hear something, okay, you retain it hardly 10% of it. But when you actually simulate it, how do people learn flying? Do they immediately give them the plane, okay, go and fly? No. So basically it is the simulation. Many of you must have seen that movie 34, Runway 34.
Yes.
They did that simulation thing, so you know what simulation is exactly. So initially they learn over there, okay? So that in itself is one form of experiential learning. And then ultimately they are able to fly. What we do in the games, the video games that we play, these all things we do. We drive a bike, okay? So all these, और क्या रहता है उसमें कौन सा एक गेम है contra or what? People play contra. They keep on killing somebody and children they love all this. Huh? So I asked one of the child कि भाई why do you like these games with so much of murder and killing and all those things? कहते मैम जो हम real life में नहीं कर सकते ना तो we can do it over there. So I was really amazed at that response. So means that was also a type of experience he's gaining. You want to say something?
Yes, ma'am. No, actually, the thing with your mentioning, like, you can't do in real life. I think many instances have happened, like, on the contrary of what you have said.
Yes.
Many children have got inspired by these activities.
Yes,
and they have-
this is what I'm saying. This is what I'm trying to come to. Because this is an experience for them. And then ultimately they want to try it. Now every day, this aftab and all, what we are. So, you know, I think ma'am talked about this ethical thing in the morning, isn't it? So all those who are devising such games, can't they do it? वो एक पहले garden वाला game आता था ना? I don't remember the name.
Mario.
Mario is different. You have to create all of that farmhouse and all. So why can't we have? So why can't we have those games? But only thing is, you need to add up some thrill to that. Because in that game, the thrill is different. So learning also requires the experiences as per your 21st century learners. कैसे हैं आजकल के बच्चे? Have you seen that ad of window? The baby comes out of the womb, cuts the umbilical cord, starts crawling, and then he takes up that some iPad or something, isn't it? Tab or something he takes up. So we are dealing with this century. Okay. So what type of experiences you are providing are going to make what they are. Okay. So that is why man is one animal who is highly affected by the environment he is in. Rest of the people. Not people, rest of the animals. The moment the cow's baby, the calf is born, he starts walking. Giraffe starts walking, but man, we take at least a year to walk. Why is that so? Why? First, we are social animals, but termites are also social. What else reason can you think of? Our environmental instincts are stronger than our genetical instincts. In those animals, the genetical instincts means the genes they are born with, they are much stronger than the environment. And that is why you all want your children to be in the best of the schools, to be in the company of a people who are good. Okay? So, what type of experience you are giving to your children is ultimately going to determine the life they will lead in the future. Okay? So, as per this experiential learning cycle, there are 4 steps. Okay, for any learning process, and you can enter at any step, okay, but you have to complete it, all the 4 steps, then the learning becomes complete. Okay, let's take an example of sari wearing. Okay, if many of you must have worn a sari for the first time, maybe sometimes, sometime back. Okay, so when you went, say, normally when you wear a sari, is it for the first time? Most of you must have worn it when you went for your farewell party, Teachers' Day, okay, when you were in the school for the farewell party. So after going there, so that was your first experience, concrete experience wearing a sari, a big task. And then you went to your farewell party or wherever you had to go, and you observed other people. Till date I observe if somebody's sari is really tight, beautiful. Okay? So you observe that person and then you start reflecting. That is the reflective observation. These are the processes how we learn the things. Normal teaching that is going on in the class. How we learn through an experience. Okay? That is reflective observation. Now we start thinking, these things she has done. Now your mind is on the feeling side. Okay? So this makes it good. Okay? Now then conceptualize. Next time I'll wear a sari, I'll do one thing this, second thing this, I'll put a pin here, I'll tie it like this or whatever. Fine? That is conceptualization. These are the steps of actual learning of anything that is going on in the class. And the last step is your experience. Again, you get a chance to wear a sari. So next time you will follow all those steps which you have thought of. Okay? Or even if it's a hairstyle that you are doing. I am giving the real life examples. Okay? Same is the case with actual learning. Let's take a number line. You have to teach how to add integers on the number line. Okay? Any numeral, positive, negative. Okay? You ask the students to draw a line on the class. Normally the easiest way. Or a row. Call 4-5 students and then they do that +5, -2, all those things you people are doing in the number line. I think this is what even our teacher did when I was in school. Okay, so that was the only positive thing that we had. Oh, when we were doing those reflection and refraction in physics, putting up those pins, you know why? Although we did that experiment, but I couldn't make out that this is reflection. Or that through this glass slab, bending of light, that is reflection. That time I didn't know.
That time it was a task to
Because it was a task to be done, and then the theory was done, I think 6 months back, and practical was done after 6 months. So you just can't correlate the things. So what I am trying to say, when you are teaching something, if it is to be complemented with the hands-on, do it at that very moment. Okay, do it at that very moment. Fine? Clear? So you know what experiential learning is. The four steps: concrete experience, reflective observation, then next is abstract conceptualization, you know what it is, and the last step is active experimentation. Okay, you can enter at any step, but you have to complete all those. And with these 4 comes the 4 learning styles also. Okay, and those learning styles are different as a diverging, converging, so we'll not talk about that. Fine. Now you have to just design one experiential learning thing, and it can be anything. It could be a field project. Field project in itself is an experience, isn't it? It's not only that you have to do some hands-on. Fine. Only for 2 minutes you have to design any experiential learning activity, where all these 4 steps you have to experience. Fine?
And before we start, just one thing I want to ask. Like ma'am told, she did that reflection refraction activity when she was a child, right? So can we call it experiential learning or was it experimental learning? जब तक रिफ्लेक्ट नहीं करोगे, साड़ी मेरी खराब बंधी है, क्यों बंधी है? केक मेरा खराब बना, क्यों? मैंने उसमें बेकिंग पाउडर ज्यादा डाल दिया था या मेरा ओवन टाइमर में गड़बड़ थी? उसको हम कहते हैं रिफ्लेक्शन. तो बच्चे जिस दिन रिफ्लेक्ट करना सीख गए, उस दिन लर्निंग प्रोसेसेस देयर, एजुकेशन खत्म हो जाएगी. तो आप अब जो भी डिजाइन करेंगे वो सोच के करिएगा. That's why I just entered into this.
Okay, all 4 steps you have to explain, and I think 5 minutes will be enough for that.
Task that is related to home science only, cooking we can say. Suppose first of all concrete, the students, a group of students, they got a task to prepare sweet corn soup. So once they divided their ingredients and all, planned how they will distribute the ingredients, who will bring this and that, and then once they tried, and then in second one suppose they came to know, but once they completed and the task,
they made it soup.
Yes, they made, and it was tested by the जब टेस्ट किया गया तो सभी की तरफ से उनके आउटपुट्स लिए गए कि कैसा लगा आपको. तो पता चला कि किसी ने बोला सॉल्ट थोड़ा कम था, किसी ने कहा कि नहीं थोड़ा पेपर और हो सकता था, तो किसी ने ये आइडिया दिया कि नहीं स्वीट कॉर्न थोड़ी और पके होने चाहिए थे, थोड़े कच्चे लगे थे। तो देन वी केम टू नो अबाउट देयर मिस्टेक्स एंड ऑल, तो अपने
सो वो रिफ्लेक्शन हो गया जो खुद ना हो कि किसी और ने कर दिया।
हाँ, एंड देन एब्स्ट्रैक्ट में नेक्स्ट टाइम से उन्होंने सोचा कि ओके नेक्स्ट टाइम अगर हम बनाएंगे तो डेफिनेटली वी विल इम्प्रूव ऑल दीज पॉइंट्स, लाइक हमें इन सब चीज़ों का ध्यान रखते हुए बनाएंगे। मे बी वो नेक्स्ट टाइम दोबारा उन्होंने ट्राई किया या दोबारा से एक और बार उन्होंने बनाया, तो उन्होंने इन सब चीज़ों को ध्यान रखते हुए फिर लास्ट में ये जज किया, अपने आप को ही देखा कि क्या हमने वो सब कमियां दूर की और क्या हमारा पहले से बेहतर है। तो इन दिस मैनर दे लाइक वर्क एंड लर्न कि हमने जो पहले गलतियां की थी उनमें सुधार लाके हमने किस तरह से उसको अपने लिए एक बेहतर चीज बनाई है।
Experience is plant and insect life, and the experiences will be to go out, like we will instead of sitting in the class, we will go out and observe what the plant life in the school premises, and we will get the children to observe different plants, what kind of animals, what kind of insects stay on those plants, birds stay on those plants. We have the vertical garden, we get them to see all those plants, small plants everywhere, and we will get them to, they can draw, for example, they can draw whichever plant they like, they can draw a rough sketch of the face, whichever plant they like. They can also touch, they can feel, they can smell the different plants, they can smell the different flowers. So this is the experience. Then the observation will be, once they come back in the class, they will talk about which plant they like the most, which had the nicest smell, which had the nicest feel, which was, which had the most insects, or which had the most, which was well kept, which was well taken care of. That will be the observation which they will write down. The conceptualization will be that they will talk about the different plants that they learnt about. They will discuss their qualities, which plant has what qualities, like different kind of leaves, different kind of stem, which plant was growing in the vertical garden, which was growing in the ground, which was growing where. So they will discuss all these. And the last will be experimentation. So for the experimentation, they can talk to their parents that whichever plant they like the most, they can get their parents to get one plant for them at home also. So they'll take care of that. And they will take care, and they will, they can report to the teacher after 1 week, that after I've been taking care of this for 1 week and this plant has grown from this much to this much. And, then basically we're teaching them to take care of plants like ozone and all this.
So if we have to teach money chapter, like to my students, so what I can do, I can just plan one field trip for them, and I will take them to the Reliance or some mall or somewhere, and student can know the concept कि like today we are going to buy something, or obviously field trip is something कि we have to purchase something. So second step is कि I will give them 20 rupees and they have to buy anything from 20 rupees only. Like two friends are there, for example, Sagar sir and Pooja ma'am. Fine. So Sagar sir will purchase one toffee, 4 rupees, 2 rupees, and like this way. But she has purchased 20 rupees toffees like that way. But the problem is that sir got 10 toffees and she got 9 toffees. So some calculation is misunderstood. Like she was like, how come she will compare, then reflective something is there, reflection is there, and after coming back to school, then they will do the calculation. Like what abstract, basically that last one is abstract one. Like after coming back to school, what calculation she can do in her mind as well. So that is abstract.
So I think with this, we'll just end this. We'll call it a day now. Fine. So thank you all the participants, and thank you the management and principal, everybody from the school for providing this wonderful opportunity to both of us.